What's up, guys? I need some videos on this channel, don't I? And I'm gonna get on that. I might even shave for that. We'll see, but I'll definitely be putting some videos up on this channel. Got a couple slated for later today. But I want to have a quick chat with you guys to tell you about just why I've been exhausted. And I'm feeling a lot better than I did a few weeks ago and even last week, but lately, man, I've just been tired of some things. One thing I've been tired with is all that censorship that I've been dealing with. As you guys know from my last video, MailChimp canned me last week, PayPal canned me last week, and then I don't think I've told you guys this yet, but Venmo sent me an email a couple days after MailChimp and PayPal canned me the same day, and Venmo deleted my account with them, so fantastic. Venmo's owned by PayPal, so big surprise there. And then today, Twitter locked me out of my account too. First time that's ever happened. They actually sent me 2 emails at the same time. One was an email about a tweet of mine that got reported that said, "We didn't find anything wrong, so we're taking no action against your account." It said I broke no rules. The second email, again at the very same time, said they find that I violated their Twitter rules. They didn't give me any tweet or explain why, and then said, boom, I'm locked out of my account for 12 hours. So at least I still have the account. It's just being locked out. But ridiculous, man. No reason in any of these emails for why they either canned me or locked me out. So that's been a little annoying, all the censorship. Second thing that's tiring me out is, quite honestly, just people. Like, people showing their true colors. You know, you see all these folks out there that are totally two-faced, or they'll put on a front for you for a long, long time, whether it's a front for you or maybe it's a front for the public. Maybe there's some public figure and they're putting on some face for everybody. And then you figure out who they really are. And they're totally different people than you thought, than you believed in the first place. And then they'll start backstabbing you and getting greedy and all sorts of shit like that. And those people are tiring, for sure. Find out who your real friends are, don't you? So there's that. And the last thing that's tiring me out that I really wanted to have this conversation with you guys here for is the clickbait, man. All of the
fake news.
Fake freaking news. You know, we know the mainstream media puts out a lot of fake news, but holy crap. How much clickbait, fake news, sensationalized, blown out of proportion reporting goes around the truth community? My Lord, just as much as the mainstream media, if not more than that. And especially last weekend, over the last week, it's been running rampant. Just the fake claims, the stuff that's not sourced, that's not evidence. I mean, so much so. I mean, it's getting so crazy. I didn't even want to upload any YouTube videos or tweet anything over the weekend. I just haven't wanted to do anything online because everybody's just reporting about the same things and it's the same sauceless claims. So I'm like, I'm checking out. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm checking out. And some of those primary topics or subjects or ideas that are getting spread around like wildfire, one of those is the supposed claims that thousands and thousands, if not more than that, of children are being rescued from tunnels and deep underground military bases all across the country. And, you know, there's different versions and variations of this particular theory, but, I mean, that's basically it. All these kids are being saved, being brought out from under the tunnels. Some of these versions go so far as to say that they're being loaded onto the hospital ships and even being brought out from under Manhattan. And, they're coming to the surface of Manhattan. It's weird. And again, there's a lot of versions of it, but pretty much every version I see, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube or on Facebook, the comments I see, the people that post articles, none of it is sourced. There's no proof. Like, none. And people are taking these tiny bits of data that we're seeing in the open source domain, and they're blowing it way out of proportion. And then they're making all of these jumps to conclusions and crazy assumptions. And the problem is that people are creating these theories and speculations in their heads, which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for educated speculation, logical speculation. I mean, that's how you hypothesize and navigate your investigations to go. But when you start saying that your opinion or your theory that you don't really have evidence for is fact, and then start spreading that around, that is a huge problem. It's not only a huge problem for you, because you're going to make yourself look like a fool. You could. But it's also a problem because, as we know, that stuff starts getting shared and retweeted and spread around, and soon enough, it's not just you that looks like a fool, it's everybody out there looks like a fool. And it can be used very easily to discredit movements and topics and ideas. And we're seeing it used to discredit Q. We are. People's fake, unsourced, unsauced, not that much actual evidence behind them claims. Now, back on to the, children being saved around the country, brought out from under the tunnels thing. It's incredible because just on Twitter, by me calling for people to be more disciplined with their thinking, I don't know how many people jumped into my comments section and started calling me a shill and calling me controlled opposition and all sorts of stuff just because I wanted them to take more responsibility for their online work. Like, how crazy is that? What does that show you? Does that show you that people are literally addicted? They're freaking addicted to, it's not even the truth. They're addicted to these false beliefs that they're drumming up just because they want it to be true so bad. Because it's new, because it's novel, because they think that, in their head, they're literally going so far as to creating these false beliefs just to give them some emotional comfort. That's not critical thinking. That's not logic at all. And don't get me wrong, deep underground military bases absolutely exists. I've done videos and webinars and all sorts of stuff on this subject. I'm very familiar. And I totally believe that President Trump and the military are busting human trafficking rings, not just across this country, but across the world. And I'm sure that's been going on for years, since POTUS took office. Okay? But, where are your photos or your videos? Where is your evidence? Not something that's like the most reachy, stretchy stuff where you're taking these numbers in a tweet and trying to connect it with this article over here and this Q post and all this stuff. People these days, they're getting so elaborate and like way overboard with their the evidence they're trying to create for their own theories. But it's like, okay, I saw this Facebook post from a well-known supposed truth activist, and he claimed that all these kids were getting rescued and brought above the surface of Manhattan. He specified Manhattan. I can't remember in this Facebook post if he went so far as to say that they were being loaded onto the hospital ship, the Navy ship, but I'm just sitting back and I'm like, first of all, Manhattan, that's like the most populous place in the country. And if all these children were supposedly being rescued and brought out from under the tunnels, you would think that there would be a photo that somebody would take there, or on the hospital ships. Again, speaking about photos and open source data being blown out of proportion, I don't know how many photos I've seen of, and it's just one photo, and then people will, again, jump to conclusions with it, draw up these assumptions, and then spread the assumptions as theories. Like, oh my gosh, look at these children being brought aboard the Navy ships because here's a photo, but you can't even really see if it's a child in the photo, and people are not really realizing, well, they specifically said that these hospital ships would be housing non-coronavirus patients, so it makes sense that there would be maybe a few baby cribs there in case there were some births that happened. Or maybe it would make sense that there would be some nutrition packs given to people on board the hospital ships being taken care of because they're not coronavirus patients. Like, logic, folks. Logic. Here's another one. You know, the number that I've seen has gone as high as like 2.2 million children were being saved from underground bases over the last week. 2.2 million. Some people actually shared that around. 2.2 million. You see, our military only has about 1.3 million members. So you got the whole military would need to be activated to deal with that, and they'd all be caring for 2 kids. I mean, where's the common sense with this sort of stuff? And then that's, of course, a very high number. Another number I've seen is 35,000 kids, but the particular individual that's spreading that number has also spread false claims before about pedophile task forces being initiated. And, you know, it's always these insiders. That person that made the Facebook post earlier and this individual I'm talking about now with that 35,000 number, you look at their posts or their articles and they have their supposed sources. And you're like, shoot, who's your source? It's anonymous. They keep it anonymous and say, oh, my high source or my multiple sources are confirming this thing. It's like, who the hell is your source? Because if you're keeping it anonymous, you might as well be CNN. Or if you're not bringing any other evidence along with what the source supposedly told you, if you're just wanting us to believe you because of this source, then yeah, that's not journalism. You just want to be the person that's getting the clicks and the views right now, right? So there's just been so much bullshit like this spreading around. And again, talking about the sources and the evidence, it's like, okay, you see an article that makes the claim or a YouTube video that makes the claim that all these folks are being saved, and then you look at the description or the hyperlink in that article or video, and they link their own article. It's like circular sourcing there. They're linking themselves as a source to make their own claims in the video that's sourcing their own article. Like, you see that? So bring it back down to earth, folks. Back down to earth. Again, I don't doubt that human trafficking rings are being busted. I don't even doubt that there could be some stuff going on in deep underground military bases. But how are you going to make that jump to the claim as fact that so many people are making that it's all happening for sure and right now? And, you know, all the specifics in their claims, too. It's like, what the heck? You know, in fact, I kind of think a lot of these theories are getting spread around by the shills and the trolls on purpose just to, you know, psy up us all, make the whole movement look bad. Could be. Getting back onto the idea of, shall we say, just having awareness with these claims, trying to see the bigger picture and always playing the sort of critical thinker with yourself. So by this, I mean, for instance, the earthquakes. This is one thing that happened that led a lot of people to believe that there were wars and explosions going on in deep underground military bases last week. So, prime example, earthquake in Idaho. It was like a 6.5 earthquake, big earthquake right smack dab in the middle of Idaho last week. If you didn't have an expanded perspective, you're very narrow in your thinking, and if you have the confirmation bias, you're going to say, oh, okay, boom, happened underground. Oh, it was a deep underground military base, and you're going to go off with your theories. Expanded awareness, big picture perspective. Try to take a breath and see what else might be going on that's influencing this, so you can either check things off your list or make up a reasonable explanation. So let's talk about this earthquake. The same day that Idaho earthquake happened, a solar wind stream from our sun, get a coronal hole on the sun, it could burp out a bunch of high energy particles at us, and that solar wind stream will go by Earth. When solar wind streams go by Earth, it raises the chances of earthquakes happening because earthquakes have an electromagnetic influence on them. And what is the sun? It's a giant electromagnetic ball that's always throwing stuff our way. On the Suspicious Observers YouTube channel, it's a space weather tracking YouTube channel that I watch often. On the day that Idaho earthquake happened, he posted a video in the morning before it happened that said, "Quake watch!" Even some of the quake watchers and space weather watchers out there were designating this time as being ripe for earthquakes. It's probably going to happen. Earthquake did happen. Wow, it's probably caused by the sun. But if you don't always try to give yourself that bigger picture, expanded awareness, if you don't understand these other things or anything else that's outside of maybe a narrow perspective you have, then you might not see that. People that don't know about space weather are going to go, oh, earthquake, it's automatically an underground base that got exploded or something. You see? So, man, it's good for me. It's good for me to get this all off my chest right now. But I just wanted to, come by and say those things. And these are things that not a lot of people like to hear. Hence earlier when I described how a lot of people were upset with me and calling me a shill or controlled asset or showing my true colors just because I'm being that voice of reason. But I'll be that voice of reason. I don't care if you don't like me. It's like the instance where you have the disciplinarian parent or the dad that the kid just hates because they're always telling me to be disciplined and to be responsible. And when the kid is younger, hates the parents for doing that. But as the kid grows up, learns some things, looks back and realizes, wow, my parents actually were doing that for the best of everybody. And the person learns. And right now we have a lot of people that are really new to researching and really new to just awakening in general. And they're still learning how to discern properly and how to, shall we say, investigate properly. And it's really it's a never-ending learning process. But when you're at the very beginning of it, everything can be really confusing. And you can jump on very easily to things that aren't really true or aren't spun in the proper context or, just things, ideas you might be emotionally attached to. So you got to be really careful. You got to be really, really freaking careful. Try not to get emotionally attached to those ideas, to those beliefs that spread around until you have enough evidence for them, enough logical, reasoned pieces of data to where you can say that's happening beyond reasonable doubt. You also got to be careful with the people you like to learn from. There's a lot of people out there who I have completely changed my perspective of over the last few years. Because again, I've expanded my own perspectives, my own awareness. I've learned about them. I've seen where they're maybe putting out mis or disinformation or messing with us. So a lot of people I've changed my mind about. I've broken those emotional attachments too, and I don't see them as being all-knowing truth activists, disclosure advocates anymore. But I still watch their stuff, still read their stuff, because anybody can offer helpful information. But once you start looking at any one group or person or organization or source as being all-knowing and thinking they're always going to have the truth, well, you're fooling yourself. And you're just putting them into an idolized position that you shouldn't be putting anybody in. So I think that's all I wanted to cover here. Just reminding you guys to be chill. Things are crazy right now, but just relax. If you see something, hang on to it for a minute. Take an extra few minutes to research it. It's really easy just to hit share, just to hit retweet. It's really easy to do that without thinking and automatically accept whatever you shared or retweeted for whatever reason, just because it made you feel really good inside. It's really easy to do that. But it's a lot harder to actually take an extra 60 seconds, just a couple of minutes, to ask a few more questions, do a little more digging, and confirm or deny it. But if you take that extra minute or two, that will set you far apart from a lot of other people. That will do so much for your own critical thinking. Okay? So, remember those things, guys. Hone your discernment skills, not just for yourself, but for everybody out there. It will do you a lot better in the long run. That's all for this one, folks. Take care.